Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
In 2017, one man's vision and passion for all things metal started out as a record store in his house. Years later, the fight against a mainstream empire continues as Shadebeast. An independent metal collective and online store based in Athens, Georgia, is the world's premier heavy metal brand for music heads that value authenticity over the mainstream acceptance. Featuring original t-shirts from some of the best underground artists, as well as stickers, posters from the Shadebeast Presents concert series. Unique, one-of-a-kind collectibles and small curated selection of vinyl and cassettes from the masters old and new. Visit shadebeast.com and enter promo code SithLord for free domestic shipping on your first order, whether you're a new customer or returning. And be sure to join the Shadebeast social groups on Facebook and the interwebs to keep up with the new release announcements and talk all things metal and Star Wars. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and filth. Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now, let's get this show on the road. What is going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of the Metal Forge. How are you all doing yet again this week? Wow. We have Becky Baldwin from the band Fury, Hands Off Gretel, and you might have recognized her on tour with Merciful Fate for their United States tour back between October and November. Yeah, fucking that's awesome. But before we talk to Becky, we're going to talk about a few other things. I'm going to do the ripped from the headlines, you know, because there's just so much shit that seems like it's going on, and I know I used to report on this, and then it just felt like like they were like TMZ and dirt sheet shit and everything, and it's like, come on, man, really? But this one is just too fucking good. So apparently at the at one of the Exodus concerts in Penticton, British Columbia, there was a guy who was dressed as Jesus that was kicked out of the show for going a little too fucking hard in the pit. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? It's Jesus. Fuck you, you shouldn't be there, right? Somebody had said, he was fine when we met him. Oh, my screen jumped here. Where did it go? It says, he was fine when we met him, but we saw him later and he looked really angry, so we started referring to him as Angry Jesus. Pretty sure he spent the night in the drunk tank. He missed most of the show. Apparently he got kicked out of the fucking show during fucking Suicide Messiah of all fucking songs. It's like, what the fuck? Gary Holt commented on it on his Instagram page. He says, you can't make this shit up. A little humor to follow my doctor's visit for x-rays after I ate shit on a slippery bus step and getting off at the border crossing. Worst pain ever, but nothing broken. Probably an under the skin blood clot. Fucking hurts, but standing hurts. So at least Grand Forks. May not be all over the stage or doing anything but riffing, but it's gonna be sick. The funny thing is, he just totally fucking, he retweeted the picture of the police carrying this fucking dude out with his hands fucking handcuffed behind his back. So fucking, it's like, what the fuck, man? Jesus at an Exodus show. Sorry, pal. Sorry. So, yeah, some other things that are, like, happening, which is really fucking cool, too. Fucking Obituary. You might have remembered this from last week, where Athena reviewed the Obituary album last week. And holy fuck, today, well, actually, I say today, but yesterday, on Thursday, they announced a tour. You know, that they're taking out Blood Incantation, Immolation, and Ingrown. Holy fuck. And that tour, the last day is in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the last day of the show, and it's awesome. And it looks like they're going to everywhere. They're starting out in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's going roughly a month. So they're Charlotte, Virginia Beach, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Montreal. They're going to do a few shows in Canada, Chicago. You know, and then they're going to go all the way out west. You know, they're going to be in Washington and Utah and LA, Arizona. And then they're going to hit they're just going to make their way back through, you know, and that's going to be a fucking kick-ass show. It looks like it was originally planned for Headliners Music Hall in Louisville, but I believe it's been the Mercury Ballroom here in Louisville. I believe that's who actually has the show. But fuck yeah, it's going to be awesome because I'm going to check it out. I'm going to be there. And then the Monday night, the next night, my band Overload is playing Metal Monday at the Double Tap, the Highland Tap Room, on the Memorial Day Monday. So fuck yeah, awesome stuff. And the next thing that I'm going to talk about, I'm not really going to talk about it. I'm just going to bring this up. And it's more of the Pantera stuff. You know, they had a show canceled in Nuremberg, Germany, and yeah, it was like the Rock AM Ring and Rock AM Park show. So, yeah, we're going to check in with Jason from the Heavy Metal Wasteland and see what he has to say about it, because that's what he's talking about this week is the Pantera reunion / reimagining, whatever you want to call it.
Welcome back to the Wasteland. Hope everyone's having a good 2023 so far. I have to admit, this month's been a little lackluster as far as stuff going on or coming out. The new Obituary album has probably been the biggest thing to release this month, and Athena already covered that pretty extensively. So if you missed last week's Raven episode, go listen to that to get her opinion on it. I think it's pretty good too. I had a band release an album called Screamer that I was going to talk about, but I just really wasn't into the album enough to really gloat about it too much. So at the time of recording this, I actually told Mark I was thinking about skipping this week. And then lo and behold, this morning, January 24th is the day I'm recording this, there was an article popped up that said Pantera had been canceled by 2 festivals in Europe. 2 German festivals. Rock Am Ring and Rock Am Park. They said they dropped them due to racist lyrics from pressure from fans, bands, partners, and sponsors. I thought about this for a little while today before I recorded this, and had a couple of opinions that might clash a little bit. First one is, this was canceled because of Phil, not Pantera. So obviously everyone knows about the Dime Bash incident many years ago where he did the Hail Hitler or White Power salute. He said it was due to him drinking white wine, which, in his defense, some of the most fucked up I've ever seen people has been on wine. So it's very possible, I guess, but you just don't do that under any circumstance, unless you're really into following Hitler. And I don't really think he is, but at the same time, the video is pretty incriminating. I mean, it's pretty spot on from all the World War II videos that I've watched over the years, and it's just something that will follow him around for the rest of his career, it looks like. For a while, I thought he weathered the storm. He was playing on some pretty big tours. He did the Slayer farewell tour with his Illegals band. Down had some shows here and there, even though they got canceled in Europe right after it happened. So even though I don't think he's a racist, it looks like he might hang around people who are racist and do stuff like that, which sucks, because I know the dude actually grew up in a pretty poor part of Louisiana where where whites were pretty much the minority. But on the other hand, the band Pantera itself, if they're canceling the band Pantera, and I still say Pantera in quotes, they should really go back and read some of the lyrics on the early albums, especially on the Vulgar Display of Power album. So the 2 songs that come to mind real quick are the songs No Good and Rise. If they went back and read those lyrics, they would probably see that the band wasn't really about white power and rebel flags, even though if you didn't grow up during the time of Pantera when they were active and looking in the window, you would probably assume these guys were racist based on Phil's skinhead look and Dimebag's rebel flag guitar. But besides that, when people assume stuff, they should really look into all aspects of a band, or anyone really, before determining that they're racist or whatever-ist. I just don't really think it's true, and just blaming it on the band instead of just saying Phil kind of sucks for the Abbott brothers, because obviously no one does research anymore and they just believe what they read, which is sad, but very true in this world today. I really hope one day whenever bands or partners had an issue playing with Pantera or Exposed, so we could see if maybe they're throwing stones at a glass house as well. Again, it's just my opinion. Nobody's opinion is wrong. If you don't like Pantera, that's fine. I mean, if you like Pantera, it's cool too. You shouldn't not like something because somebody says not to like them. It's akin to like if you found out that someone you hate likes pepperoni pizza and you just stop liking pepperoni pizza because someone you don't like likes it also. It's kind of ridiculous. But alright guys, I'm going to keep this one short. Again, thanks to Mark for having me on the Metal Forge as always. And remember, the Flamekeeper Patreon is out there. We keep adding some new stuff pretty regularly, so if you want to get in, sub start at $1 and go up to $5 with some perks added in along the way. And again, I apologize for my voice. I seem to be coming down with something at the time of recording this. But as always, guys, remember to stay safe, stay heavy, keep the heavy metal flame lit, and we will see you next time.
So by the time I'm recording this is insane because Jason recorded his a few days ago and they had only canceled the one show, but now they've got a second show canceled as well in Vienna, Austria. That's the whole thing about it, is whether or not you believe that he is or was like a racist or white power, what the fuck ever. They don't take too kindly to that shit in Germany and Austria. That's a part of the history that most of the people that I know from there, they really, they don't like it. And, it's fucked up for sure. And I could sit there and say that, I didn't see this coming, but like, I guess it's only a matter of time before when shit gets out like that it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. That's the way the whole idea of, just the internet culture of things is now. You can go through and say something 10 years ago on Twitter, and guess what? It's like you said it yesterday. Sorry, and it sucks. I mean, it really does suck because, it seems like they're out there trying to do a good thing, but, for like the for the fans and stuff like that is what I'm trying to say. I know a lot of metalheads don't agree with it because of, with it being Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante, because it's not, it's not Pantera. It's Rex and Phil and two guys playing the parts. But I don't know. It's just a weird fucking situation. But I don't want to waste any more time talking about that shit. We're gonna stay positive today. We're gonna fucking go full on. We're gonna kick ass here. We're gonna start this show with Fury. This is the band that Becky Baldwin is primarily in, and this is It's Rock and Roll.
It hit you deep inside. Your heart
right, Maniacs, this is a special treat this week because I have none other than Becky Baldwin from the band Fury. And if you're here in the United States, you might have noticed here just about a couple of months ago, she was the fill-in bass player for Merciful Fate. Becky, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing awesome. Like I said, so everybody knows this is kind of like a pre-recorded interview thing, and I'll go ahead and say, yeah, I feel hungover this morning, but I'm good. I'm kicking ass.
All right, good.
So how is you're in the UK, right?
Yes. Yeah, in Birmingham.
Okay, so oh wow, the home of metal.
It is, yes.
Yeah, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest. Holy shit, that.
Absolutely, yep.
So you've totally got metal running through your veins at this point, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am an adopted Brummie. I moved here about 2 years ago, but it was because I love the city so much because of its metal roots. That was why one of the reasons why I wanted to move here. So, but yeah, like it called me here, and I had to go.
That is totally rad because reading Rob Halford's book Confess and all of the stuff that I've read about Black Sabbath, they none of those guys ever had everybody wants to get out when you're young and stuff, but they have always done so much for Birmingham.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole culture of Birmingham is still, there's still a lot of venues that, have a lot of live metal music, and there's there's artwork of Black Sabbath in certain areas, the Black Sabbath Bridge and stuff. I actually haven't visited there yet.
Nice.
It's wild, but that's the thing. When you live somewhere, you don't do the touristy things, but it's on my list. I'll do it someday.
Well, yeah, because it's totally cool because, like you said, when you live somewhere, you always sit there and say, well, I could do that anytime.
Yeah.
For sure. So tell everybody about Fury, because I want to talk to you about Fury as well.
Yeah, cool. So they're a heavy metal band, very much influenced by the likes of Metallica and Iron Maiden. So if you're into that kind of thing, that's there's a modern kind of edge. There's a new kind of energy, a youthful energy, I think, in there. But we're all into that kind of 80s heavy metal, when it was at its best. So yeah, we're a 5-piece band based in Birmingham, and we've released 4 albums. I've only been part of the last 2 albums because I joined them later on in the band's career. And yeah, so our last album's called Born to Sin, and I mean, I think it's really cool. If you're into your metal, fast, very Motorhead influence, I think this latest album was. So yeah, I've been the bass player for this band since around the end of 2017.
Awesome. And yes, very much a huge Motorhead fan on my front, so
great. Definitely.
So you mentioned the Motorhead thing with it, and you do play a Rick, so
yep.
Hell yeah. So what is the next thing that's going to come up with Fury? We're planning to tour the UK a little bit this year, but so the band is not very big. When I compare it to the tour I've just had with Merciful Fate, we are so nowhere near that. And new fans I've picked up have been like, oh, when are Fury coming to the USA? When are you coming to Mexico and stuff? And it's we're just so not. We don't have the industry support behind us at the moment. We're, a small independent band. We did our first shows in mainland Europe last year, so it was only in September that we did our first shows in France, Belgium. So we're starting to branch out a little bit now, but it is slow progress when you don't have the backing of a label or an agent. So we're completely independent. We're doing everything ourselves at the moment. Hopefully things will change eventually. So yeah, we're just planning to tour the UK this year, just in some of our favorite venues. We'll probably venture out into Europe for a little tour as well, but we're focusing on writing the next album because we really want that one to have a big impact, and hopefully we can then
find, attract some labels, some industry connection that can bring us to the next level, because we've been doing the kind of small venues, grassroots venues for a long time, and they've really started to pick up, for a lot of the time the band has been going, it's been kind of frustrating, but coming back after the pandemic or the lockdowns we had, the fan base has never been as strong, and things seem to be going in the right direction. You just kind of need the industry to kind of prick their ears up and pay attention. But the thing is, if you're a band that has been going on for a while and have had a few albums, the industry don't really take as much notice, because they're like, well, if they haven't got it in their first few albums, why would they have it now? But I think, it's all about finding the right audience. And I know that our music is not very trendy at the moment, because, it was maybe cool in the mid 80s, and it's not cool anymore. And that's fine by me. But, we just need to there are definitely people out there that still listen to this kind of music. So we just need to find those kinds of people.
Definitely. And I agree 100% with that, with the doing it because you love to do it and because it's still fun to do it. Because
yes.
The reason I say that is because of, there's a ton of bands out there that didn't hit their stride until their third or fourth album, and I definitely think Motorhead is one of those. Yeah, you've got Overkill and Bomb are good albums. Yes, they've got great songs on there, but when they hit Ace of Spades, their life changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a total thing. Now, you did mention about writing and recording a new album.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah, yes.
And so you all just had actually put out Born to Sin last year. I mean, is it kind of soon for new stuff, or is that the way the dynamic has always been with you guys, where you just writing and recording as fast as possible?
I think we're because we have the momentum from the last two albums. So if I just kind of wind back a bit, in 2020 we released the album The Grand Prize. We released that on the 4th of April. And so we were 1 week into the lockdown when that album came out. And so all of the tour dates we had booked just completely gone. And, we had been considering, should we postpone this? And good job we didn't, because, we would have had to kept on postponing it. So, we put that album out knowing it wasn't going to have a big impact. Well, expecting it to not have a good impact, because we couldn't tour it and everyone was so distracted by other things. They were all just thinking about the virus and everything and not thinking about music. But what really happened was we started to focus on, okay, well, what can we do with our online engagement with fans? And, whereas before we could only tour the UK, because that's kind of the contacts we have, if we live streamed online, we could reach fans all over the world. We had fans in the USA, in Japan, in Australia, all corners of the world were listening in and started following along, and then started buying some albums. So it actually had it actually worked out really well for us. I mean, it wasn't ideal, but it had its benefits. And so then we were kind of okay, let's quickly write the next album. So we were straight away, we had nothing else to do but write an album. So there's no tours. We had loads of time, let's get this next one done. So then, in 2022, we released the next one. And, again, we were kind of, I guess we didn't rush the songs, but when it came to okay, now we're back to touring, because we had limited amount of gigs we could do for 2 years, and we were right, let's hit this really hard in 2022. But then it felt okay, the album we released before is 2 years old now. We need something new. So we were all right, get this one out. And now we have done this tour, and it's been amazing. The turnouts, the response has been great. For the last one and the one before as well, but particularly for the last one, in terms of people are attending the gigs and reporting really good things. So our next thought is okay, if we're really clever with the next album, it could be the thing that brings us to wider Europe and into the USA and into all these places we've been dreaming of playing. So that's the kind of thought behind it. we don't want to like sit and be stale on an old album being like, well, hopefully someone will discover it one day. We just need to keep bringing out new stuff, and hopefully, you know, someone will take interest.
For sure. I think a lot of these 2020 albums that came out from bands that were released, like yours was back in April of 2020, and you know, just as the lockdowns started happening, I think in about a decade, people are going to rediscover those albums, and they're going to be like, "Whoa, this was awesome! Why didn't this happen? Why didn't this come out? Or why was this not a hit or something?" And then they're going to realize, "Oh, well, it was during this crazy time."
Yeah.
And this worldwide,
you know, like,
pandemic.
Yeah, like the whole music industry, you know, must like be in a complete panic, you know, all of these labels and management and, you know, everything, agents, because they suddenly got no way of making any money. So they wouldn't trust a new band, a small band. So,
right.
Yeah, like I think it's something that, you know, you may discover the smaller bands and their little lockdown releases years later.
Oh, for sure. And not only just that, not only just on how you were saying that they couldn't make any money because there was no shows or no tours or anything like that, but when the way they did find out that they could make money, it has completely screwed everything else up, where you've got all these record pressing plants that are still backlogged 2 years later.
Oh my God.
And
tell me about it.
Oh yeah. And you know, it's interesting because like I'm a Metallica fan, and I bought the Black Album box set, that big giant box
Nice.
set, the anniversary set. And as I was going through the digital download card for it, where you could download everything, it was, and they have their own pressing plant, but they still like lease things out to people. Like they still, okay, well, disc makers, you're going to make 200,000 copies of it. So-and-so, you're going to make 100,000. So they're not all being done at one place. Well, it was interesting that they even hit up these really small places to print their vinyl for that box.
Yeah.
Because they had to.
Yeah. Yeah, they just, you know, if you suddenly need, you know, this many copies, and yeah, it's just like such a big resurgence, I guess, like for some, you know, some people really struggled financially during COVID, and some people were like, oh, actually, I've got loads of spare money because I'm not going out and, you know, either watching gigs or like going to restaurants, bars and things.
Right.
And so a lot of people had money to spare on collecting vinyl. And like, I think it's great. However, like this kind of vinyls people are buying are like the big ones, and there's so, you know, there just wasn't the infrastructure to support all of these people buying all these big vinyls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was like delays in like the materials as well. That's what I heard as well. So there was like such a big backlog, and then suddenly a huge interest. And then bands like my band, we ordered our vinyl for our new album in January of 2022. And we received them in December. So it was when they said, like, okay, yeah, it's a 7-month turnaround. I'm really sorry it takes this long, but this is what it's looking to be. Like, okay, so we're like, okay, 7 months, it sucks, but we'll do it. And then it ends up being 12 months. And like the fans are emailing me all the time, like, where's my vinyl? You said it was going to be June, July. And I'm like, yeah, like there's nothing I can do. Like Adele has ordered all of the vinyls in the whole planet.
And I'm glad you know that story, because I worked at during the pandemic. I worked at a brick and mortar record store.
Oh, cool!
And that was when she put out her album as well, 31 or whatever, or 30 or whatever it's called. And and that was interesting because it pushed everything back even farther, because they pressed over 1 million copies of that on just vinyl alone.
Yeah.
And
it's like, you know, like when a big label is waving like money at you saying, I need this many thousands of copies, even though the next person in line is going to be, you know, some small band trying to do a run of like 200, you're going to have to go where the money is. And unfortunately, they end up jumping the queue, like,
oh yeah,
for like the next like 2 years or something. Like the whole time it's just been like, you keep being pushed back and back and back, because they keep getting better offers from bigger labels and they need it done immediately. So, you know, it's not a problem if you're at the top of the pile, but when you're like okay, we don't even have a huge profit margin on these vinyls. We're making hardly anything. We just need to get them in stock so we can make some, because we paid for them back in January, and they're very expensive, like, investment to make to print vinyl. Yeah, it is a big issue. Like, I wish, I love that people are buying vinyl. Like, I'm glad they're buying physical music rather than just streaming. But, I hope they consider that, like, the bands that really need you to buy the vinyl are the ones who are doing this for the first time, and like the small bands and stuff.
Oh, for sure. And, I'm just around in Louisville, Kentucky. And no, we have a small record pressing plant about 25 minutes south of Louisville. And they were a 2-guy operation. And even with them, they were still a couple of months behind on all of their orders. But now it's like 14, 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Because they've even had people hit them up from other places to do their vinyl.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I guess, like, I just keep thinking, like, also, until recently, there wasn't a vinyl pressing plant in the whole of the UK. Like, they'd all closed down. And so everyone was getting theirs ordered in from, like, the Czech Republic and stuff like this. Everything's coming over from Europe. And then we had this whole Brexit thing where we can't buy things from Europe as easily, and there's tax, and there's all kinds of weird things. And finally, someone set up a UK, like, vinyl pressing plant, like, this, like, summer last year or something. And it was like, oh, thank God, everything's going to be a lot quicker now. But they just got completely backlogged. Like, as soon as they were announced, they were open. Like, everyone just rushed in, and there's just too much vinyl.
Right. And starting a record pressing plant, like actual vinyl pressing plant, is a huge startup money wise.
Yeah.
And I guarantee that, like, if they were not like just like shitty business people, they were probably a millionaire by the end of the year.
Yeah.
With so many independent bands and the resurgence of vinyl and everything. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I do want to ask you this: is you were on tour with Merciful Fate? I saw you, Merciful Fate, at the Cincinnati show on November 4th.
Cool.
And how did that happen?
Okay, so the story is they were looking for a bass player to cover this tour because Joey, the Merciful Fate bass player, is also in Armored Saint, and that's kind of his main band. But because of all this whole COVID thing over the last few days, tours ended up being moved here and there, and they had this support tour supporting Wasp. Armored Saint did. So when that got moved, it ended up clashing with the Merciful Fate tour, something like that. It was something like some things got moved around, and it meant that Joey was busy when Merciful Fate wanted to do this run of dates that hadn't yet been announced. So they were just looking for someone, and their management kind of gave them a list of a load of people, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe some of these. But they were looking through, and they were like, why are these all guys? And none of these are really, like, jumping out at me. Like, maybe we should, like, look elsewhere. And then they were like, oh, so what you're saying, you'll want to look at maybe having a girl playing? And they were like, yeah, why not? And they were like, well, if we can find one then that works, then let's do it. And I think they'd also seen there's this woman called Tanya O'Callaghan, I think her name is. She was playing with Whitesnake on their last tour, and they were like, oh, maybe she's free because that tour's over. And so they're kind of looking at her, and so, like, that was kind of the inspiration. They were like, okay, well, Tanya's doing it and people have received her really well. And then Hank Sherman, the guitarist, suggested me. He was like, oh, there's this bass player I've been following on Instagram for a few years, and she's into all this metal stuff. Like, she's done covers of Merciful Fate songs on her Instagram, and I think it might be worth looking at. And then King Diamond had a look at it, and he said, like, yeah, I think this can work. They were, like, watching some of my YouTube videos and things, and yeah, they were keen to get me in. And, like, it is really baffling to me because I've never played a tour on that level before. I've never been on a tour bus. I've never gigged in America. Like, I've never done a full month worth of being away touring it, and you know these venues are all between like 2,000 and 5,000 people, and the festival's even bigger. But you know, like normally my kind of shows were like 200 and 500 people, like at best. So yeah, it was like huge for me, and I just thought like, how are they, of all the people they could have picked, of all the people they could have asked, like a huge band like Merciful Fate, they could have asked any bass player and they would have said hell yeah. But they put their trust into me, which was like just baffling. And so they were on tour in Europe doing a festival, like all the festivals around Europe, and they came to play at Bloodstock Festival, which is in the Midlands, like near Birmingham. And I was going because this was like, oh my God, the first time I get a chance to see Merciful Fate. This is amazing. But I had no idea at that time. I just went to the festival just to watch them, really, and just to hang out with my friends. And so I'm wandering around on the Saturday afternoon before they're playing. And someone comes up to me and says, will you come and meet this person? And I'm like, who's that? And they were saying this, someone called Livia, who I now know is King's wife. But at the time I was like, who's Livia? But yeah, okay, I'll come and meet her. Like, okay, sure. And then they bring me over, and then I realize I'm going backstage behind the main stage, and I'm like, wait, where are we going? What's going on? And then I end up speaking to the management, and they're like, oh yeah, wait here. And there's a lot of like waiting, and I'm just there confused, like, I just came to a festival to like see some bands, and now I'm behind the stage and I don't know what's going on. And then the manager came up to me and was like, oh, do you know why you're here? And I'm like, no. And he said, oh, Merciful Fate want to bring you on tour with them. And I'm like, what? Oh, how? Like, in what way? Like, am I doing merch? Like, is my band going to be supporting your band or something? And he's like, no, you will play bass for Merciful Fate. And I'm like, whoa. Like, wow. Like, yeah, my mind is like blown. I'm like, this can't be real. I'm drinking. I'm dreaming. I've had too many ciders or something like this. I'm hallucinating on. It's like, what have I had today? But yeah, that was just shocking, and I couldn't believe it. Then I came to meet King Diamond, and I got to meet the rest of the band. We had a very brief chat. I was very quiet. I was just like stunned into silence, really. I just couldn't believe what was going on, and I also just felt very self-conscious, like someone like younger and like is not part of this world, like of this huge world of like where all like the big metal like gods live. I just don't really know that world too well, and but I spoke to them, and then they were all super lovely. And then I watched from side of stage while they played their Bloodstock performance, and then afterwards they just said, yeah, like let us know what you think about our question to you. And I'm like, oh my, like, yes, like I don't even need to look at my calendar, like I'm going, there's no way I would turn down this kind of opportunity. So yeah, like they made a big deal about it as well, which was really like bizarre for me, because just as a kind of a unknown kind of bass player. But that's the thing, you think you're unknown and like nobody really cares, but Hank Sherman, turns out he was following me for a few years, and you never know who's watching, I guess is the point, when you're putting out little videos and wondering if anything would ever come of it. Like, someone was watching, and I managed to do that tour off the back of it.
Nice. So did you know that Hank Sherman was following you on Instagram before?
No,
that?
I didn't actually. No, I don't.
So it's like a burner account.
Yeah.
Hank Sherman's burner account. That's great.
Yeah, or maybe he wasn't following. Maybe like I just come up in his feed and he just remembered my name or something. I don't know. Like, so yeah, but it was good that he I guess he remembered me enough to suggest me for that role.
Absolutely. So how did it work for going back to Fury and saying, okay, here's what's going to happen. This is what I've been offered. How did they take that? I assume you're still in the band, so obviously it all worked out, but
yeah.
how was that initial conversation?
It was, I think, yeah, some of the band were actually there at the festival. So, yeah, some of them heard it straight away, and they were just so super excited because I didn't have any like signal at the festival. Actually, my phone was running out of battery at the time this was all happening. With Merciful Fate. So I didn't tell any of my friends until I came back to the campsite at like 2 a.m, like absolutely buzzing, and just be like, "You never guess what happened," like because I was like, "You guys, like, did you watch Merciful Fate?" And they were like, "Oh no, sorry, we were going to, but kind of tired, so we came back to the campsite." And I'm like, "Dude, like, I was on the side of stage," because they asked me to come do the tour. And so, yeah, like, so the guitarist was there and he was like super psyched. There was like a lot of rumors. So the band, I wanted to tell the rest of the band like together in person and talk through it all and just be like, I'm going to have to miss these particular gigs, but we'll figure something out. But unfortunately, rumors got to them before I could tell them myself. And our vocalist, Julian, he wasn't exactly very happy with me at first. It was just that I didn't speak to him first, like directly. He had to hear it from someone else. And he was a bit like, oh, damn, like, okay, well, where's this going? And because also, like, when you hear it from rumors, you hear different stuff. Like, people were messaging me saying, "Oh my god, you're joining Merciful Fate, like, wow, are you going to America?" Like, and it's like, no, I'm not joining. I'm just going for a month in America with Merciful Fate, so it's not all that big. But once I kind of explained everything, and then we looked at options for, there weren't actually that many gigs I had to miss from Fury. Unfortunately, it was more than I thought there would be because there were some days of rehearsals, but my partner is also a bass player, so he covered some of them. And then we got another friend to cover one of the other ones, and everything worked out okay. And to be honest, like, everyone seems really happy about it because for the band, we've definitely had a lot more Americans like listen to the band now because they're like, "Oh, who's this bass player? And oh, she has her own band, Fury. Let's give them a listen." And the music style isn't too dissimilar to Merciful Fate. It's definitely that, like, old school, very heavy on the riffs, intense vocals and stuff like that. So so it's managed to get us some new opportunities, I think, and just a way to get into a new audience. And I'm hoping it kind of continues to help myself and Fury.
Definitely. And that's ultimately the lottery winning aspect of having the gig is, yeah, you get to share the stage with Merciful Fate and a tour, with Creator and Midnight, who are awesome people as well. Yes. And then your primary gig with Fury is, you get the benefit of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think it's, we don't know how it's going to impact in the future. Like, I'm hoping, over time, like, people will still keep discovering Fury from this link. But, it's good for me to have that experience. And also, as I said before, these aren't really the circles I've been moving in before. So getting to meet these people, getting to meet like the guys from Metal Blade and stuff, like, these are very important contacts. Like, I met Dave Grohl, dude, and I just did not expect that to happen in my life, but it did. And I was like, this is just cool. Like, even though he has nothing he can do to help me in my position, he's a different genre, but it's just really cool. It just looks cool.
Yeah, unless he comes up with another Probot album, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, who knows?
Because King did sing on that, and absolutely. Yeah. That's totally cool. And, at least it wasn't like a thing of saying like, oh, well, you did this, and, the feelings of betrayal or jealousy or anything. Everybody's cool with it, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, being from the States, it was a pretty big deal because they had not actually been on a U.S. tour in like 23 years. So, yeah.
Yeah. You could tell, like, from just how, like, crazed the audience were. They were just like, it was like a life-changing experience. It seemed like it from some of the people, how they were talking about it online after the shows and how they were experiencing it there. Like, there's people probably like a similar age to me. Like, I'm in my early 30s, and if Merciful Fate haven't played in America since hang on,
since they were like 10 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Like they had no chance. They had no chance to see this band.
Right.
So, and if it's their favorite band for a long time, then yeah, it's just like really cool.
Oh, for sure. And the tour originally, there were rumblings about it happening. They were going to do Psycho Las Vegas in 2020.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And the rumblings were that, hey, there's rumor out there that they're going to go on a U.S. tour next year in 2021. Well, then they canceled the 2020 Psycho show. Then they canceled the 2021 tour and had it, and it was pushed back to now. And it was just like so much, being from a fan aspect on my side, was so much anticipation, and it's just like,
yeah.
And then seeing the posts drop, and it's just like, I bet you, I was telling my friends, it's like, you watch, it's gonna get announced, and it's gonna be somebody like Midnight and Creator as support. And literally, like the day before the tour was announced, all three bands dropped the same videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally called this.
You called it. Wow,
I was like, how
amazing.
did this happen? And it's totally cool. But yeah, like, that is such a rad thing. That's like, for me, that would be like somebody coming up and being like, hey, do you want to play with, Metallica for these 18 dates or whatever? And I was like, well, yeah, and being a bass player myself, I would totally be the same way. If Merciful Fate came up to me, I'd be like, where do I sign up?
Yeah.
Now, had you ever been to the States before?
I have for just like some. I've met some friends over there who are also musicians, and we just kind of. I went to NAMM, the kind of music gear.
Yeah.
The heaven for like musicians. I went there in 2020, just before all the lockdown started. So yeah,
okay, so you went to
America,
the LA.
Only LA. Yeah. I hadn't traveled around.
Okay. Yeah, because they also have a NAMM in Nashville in like July. So,
oh right,
yeah, the summer and winter NAMM shows. That's cool. So at least you had your passport and all of that, and everything was. It was like everything like played out to where it needed to.
Yeah, eventually, I hadn't. I needed to get a visa to do the tour in America, and that was a bit touch and go. Like getting, there was big delays in like the embassies and things. So I actually missed my first flight when I was meant to fly to the USA and start the rehearsals. I still didn't have my passport back, and so it came back to me like 2 days late. And so I got like the first flight I could as soon as I got the passport back in my hand. And it was, it was very scary for a while because I thought I'm going to miss all of these rehearsals. I'm going to go either go straight on stage, like feeling very underprepared. Like, yeah, it was fine. Like I didn't in the end, the rehearsals were very quick and it was all fine. But just, that kind of anxiety of not having the opportunity to test it out and playing with people like I've not really met before. Or that I was going to miss the tour altogether. Like they'd already started speaking to Joey, the like actual bass player, like, could you just do this first day of the tour? Because, I see, his tour started like a few days later and it would just give me a bit more time to get over. Or, if they'd have to look like at someone else completely to do the whole tour. I was like so upset because I had, I've been practicing these songs really hard for the last like 6 weeks or something. And it was like, I was a bit concerned that I'd never actually be able to go.
Oh, wow. Talk about getting down to the wire and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. So I do want to break off and ask some general profile questions about you as a person, because that's part of the fun about doing the show. I did field a couple of questions from listeners out there. One of them asked, and so in America, chili is like a big thing, and Cincinnati has their own like style of chili. He wanted to know, did you have any of it while you were there?
I don't think I ate any chili whatsoever when I was in America. No. Sorry.
No, all good. Because, it's like Texas has theirs, Cincinnati is that way. It's like this big thing. It's like, do you put beans or noodles or nothing in it? And it's like, what? But yeah, Cincinnati is famous for chili. It's called Skyline chili. So, and it's like a no noodle, no bean. It's kind of like a meat sauce chili.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a vegan, so maybe that's
interesting.
It would be all bean for me.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, a no meat chili then.
Yep.
What are 3 things that you would leave in a time capsule for people to open in 50 years?
Oh, okay. 50 years. Okay, so when would that be? Like, 2070. Oh my God, I don't know. Like a Nokia mobile phone, one of those like brick phones with Snake on it, like still fully charged.
And it would probably still be fully charged because those things didn't die at all.
No, might be worthwhile investment.
Yeah, you would think. All right, so a Nokia phone. What else? What are the other 2 things you would have?
I was thinking maybe like a letter, like I could write about what's happening like in the world right now. And I guess people would put like a newsletter in, but maybe like a personal letter or something to whoever it is. And I don't know, maybe some seeds of a vegetable or something. You never know what's going to like die out in the next like 50 years, like the bee population is like declining, and you never know like what kind of interesting foods you may not be able to get in 50 years. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's maybe a bit like a doomsday thing, but you'd like to know just in case.
That's interesting. I've never actually had anybody say something like a seed like that before, because of not knowing that. Who knows, maybe in 50 years tomatoes won't be around.
Yeah,
which would be wild as hell. But
yeah, or maybe like something that would work with a wetter climate.
Right. See, that's totally interesting, because you never know of everybody talks about like animal extinction and stuff like that, but does anybody? You never see anybody say anything about plant extinction. Yeah, and it does happen. Like people don't think about it as much, and I guess most of our vegetables are very carefully kept, like in like farmed and stuff, so we don't think about it, but wild plants always go extinct and stuff. For sure.
Never know.
Interesting. If you swapped genders for a day, how would you spend it?
Oh, right. I think I would go into like guitar stores and like DIY stores and just see what it's like see if people treat you any differently and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think I'd try things out in like music instrument shops, because I do feel like they kind of treat you slightly differently as a woman going into these kind of stores, and I just like to see how people treat you differently in different places. Like or at the gym or at a gig, at a pub, and just that see if you feel much different. I've heard of people like talk about the differences, and like people may take you more seriously, or maybe people don't notice you as much. You can blend in more easily as a man than you can as a woman, so it has its benefits and its like disadvantages. So I think I just get out in the world and just see how different it is, how people treat me differently. For sure. Absolutely. So when you go into a guitar shop or something like that, and, I'm sure you get it's probably in here buying something for her boyfriend or whatever, and then you pick up a bass and you just completely blow them away. Yeah, like that's how it goes in my head. But like, yeah, but normally I just kind of go in and then they're like, oh yeah, who are you getting it for? And I'm like, oh, I wanted to try it myself for myself. And they're just like, well, this is how you plug it in and this, and you're like, oh my God. And then you're just like, I just don't want to be here anymore. And then you just kind of, you have a little like play. You're like, I don't know. I'm not the kind of person who likes to show off, really, especially in those kinds of settings, like guitar shops. Where there's people there just shopping around, and there's someone just there, like the most like I don't know, over the top thing. It's always like, I don't know. I feel very cringy about that. So, yeah, like, but people don't expect you to know what you're talking about. But then I guess a lot of people who work in music stores probably expect not very many people, even men, to not know what they're talking about. So you do have to kind of like, just to be sure, talk to them as if they know nothing.
Right. I mean, I kind of go into the store with the mentality sometimes of saying, this is made of wood, it has strings, and these make sounds. Everything, yeah. All the technical stuff. Oh, it's a 34-inch scale bass with Grover. I'm like, that doesn't bother me. That does not get to me at all. Yeah. I'm just like, it's a bass. It's a Rick. It makes good sounds.
Same. Yeah. Actually, I'm not much of a gear nerd. Like, I know how, I know how to like work it. I know how to like turn on and do some things with it. But yeah, I'm not super interested in like all of the like fine details. Like I wish I wish I knew all the technical mumbo jumbo, but I don't. So like, for sure. I don't really want to get into some kind of a knowledge war with a music instrument shop like worker, because I'll probably lose.
Yep, I would as well. And that's just like my drummer is a sound guy also, and he has his own home recording studio. And just like the sheer like science behind recording, like all the negative dBs, and you want to set this to this and this to that, and it's like I just hit record and go. Yeah. I trust my gear enough to just be like, I think it sounds good already. I'm just gonna record it and send it to you, and you can fiddle with it if you like. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's very fascinating, but like, yeah, my interest is more in playing it than sculpting and learning the science and the math behind how all that works. Definitely, I agree. What is the most important thing you carry with you all the time?
What do I carry? I carry earplugs. I find them really useful. Like, stuff that isn't, your phone and your charger and your wallet. But yeah, I always take earplugs with me because I don't know. I always find looking after your hearing is very important, and you never know when things are going to be like unexpectedly loud. So also because if I don't take them with me every day, I know I will forget them when I'm going to a gig or going somewhere. But yeah, no, I'm the lame person that even like at a club, if I'm like at a nightclub and it's loud, I'm putting my bloody earplugs in. This is ridiculous. Or at the cinema or something. Like if it's too loud, I'm like, nah. No. That. These ears are too important to me. Like, this is my career. If I can't hear things, then I don't really have a job anymore. Exactly. My band recently in 2022 made the switch to using in-ear monitors. Oh yeah, smart. And I noticed like such a difference with my hearing just after shows. Yes. There was like virtually no ringing, because that's the time I started using earplugs, and I've been playing music for almost 30 years. And this year is when I started using earplugs. So and it's wild to be able to come out of a show and not have that droning feeling that you get when you just had so much sound exposure. When like for me, it's like when I close my eyes, it just has this like wavy feeling for my ears trying to readjust to no volume. So I definitely understand the earplug is an everyday carry now. Yeah.
Since the Merciful Fate thing happened for you, this would be a perfect question for you. What do you think one of the biggest cons of being famous would be?
A con. I think, I guess people, you've been too accessible to people, if you know what I mean, and like, not really knowing who to trust, because you meet so many fans, and my observation of other people meeting a lot of fans, and some of them can be just so sweet and so genuine and lovely, and then some of them will kind of start like that and seem like they're a big fan, but really they're trying to get information out of you about something, or their motives are not like legit. So I think just people taking advantage really of and thinking that they know you, and just your kind of exposure to people, I guess, like if you start posting things more online, like for me, because I do a lot of like social media stuff, the more my video or post or whatever reaches people, the more backlash it will get. So it's kind of like, if I was only sharing this with my friends, they would all just be very positive and nice. But, you have to have kind of a thick skin when you start to, be known by people, because people will always have an opinion about you. And even if they're genuinely a nice person, they're normally really cool and they wouldn't say something mean to someone. They'll say something mean about you if you're like more well known, because they think you won't see it. They think you won't read their comment. Right. But you do, and then you're like, ow, that actually hurts. And they probably just wouldn't expect that. But famous people do sometimes read comments, and even all the positive comments you get, like you could have 100 positive and then 1 negative, and you'll always remember the 1 negative one, and you'll be like, well, what like compelled this person so much that they'd spend their time just like ruining my day. And kind of it's so you just need to have thick skin with it, I suppose.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I could always imagine Lars reading the negative comments to Saint Anger.
Yeah,
which I like that album. I'm that in the minority. Yeah. I like that album, but I could imagine him being like, what?
Yeah, like so many people make jokes about him, and I'm like, there was a time that he was really, really freaking good, and he's still a good drummer, and like, he shouldn't be. I'm sure he doesn't worry about what people say about him online, but yeah, like, I feel bad for him as well, because I think he's great. I love Metallica. He
does get unjustly chastised for just adapting the way he plays.
Yeah.
If you could, go ahead.
But yeah, I know. I guess the argument is like there's so many talented new drummers who would just like nail it, but if you're not Lars, you're not Lars. Unfortunately,
exactly. Pedigree speaks.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If you could be a personal assistant to anyone, who would it be?
Oh, personal assistant. That's really hard. It would have to be someone really. It would have to be like who's really nice in the music industry. Like my first instinct would be like Dave Grohl or something. Like I've never really been a huge Dave Grohl fan, actually, tell you the truth, until the night I met him, and then I was like, oh wait, he's actually really cool, because he has this like persona of like he's like the nicest guy in rock, and I always had this feeling like surely not, like nobody's that nice, like he's just a real person, and it's all just like a show. And so I like the Foo Fighters, I like Nirvana, but I never got the huge like worship of Dave Grohl that like seems to be quite big. But then when I met him, I was like, oh my god, no, this guy is so nice, and he had such a just like a warm aura around him, and he just made everyone smile. And I think he may not be my favorite rock star, but it would have to be someone like that who I feel like would be really nice. Like I'd love to. I'd do anything to like meet James Hetfield, for example, but I feel like we probably would fall out at some point.
Yes.
I love him to bits, and I'd do anything to play for Metallica one day, but we'd probably fall out if I was his personal assistant. So it would be someone like Dave Grohl or someone really sweet.
Somebody who's not going to, you wouldn't expect them to treat you like shit or something, or have to be there 100% of the time.
Yeah, someone really laid back and someone who won't give me a very hard job. Definitely. I can imagine he doesn't even have much like an assistant. He probably just has like some mates who just hang around and help him out with stuff. Like that's my feeling.
Yeah, he honestly seems like the person who would be his own guitar tech.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Someone be like, "Oh yeah, do you want this?" And he'd be like, "Oh no, I'll get it myself."
Yeah, exactly.
I felt like that because this is my first time I had a guitar tech on this tour, and like I'd be like going to pick up my bass, and he's picking up for me and handing it to me. I'm like, "Oh no, it's fine. Like I can pick up my bass." And then he'd be like, "Oh, you want some water?" And I'm like, "It's okay, I can get my water." And then I realized like, this is his job. I'm like, I shouldn't be taking his job away from him by insisting that. But it just felt weird that someone else was like handing me stuff when I was for so long used to like just sorting it all out myself. So yeah, like it's weird to then like have someone helping you.
Oh, for sure. So you said that was the first tour that you'd ever had like a guitar or like a tech or anything. I do want to.
Yeah, like. I've had friends like, some friends would come like who are also musicians and they'll like help a bit, as a kind of general roadie, like I help set up some of the stuff. But yeah, not someone who's just there, stood at the side of stage, keeping an eye on you. If anything goes wrong, you just go, hang on, I need this in my monitor, or something's cutting out, or I am thirsty or something like this, like, and they'll just sort it out for you. That's the first time I've had someone dedicated doing that job for me. So that was like very interesting.
Definitely.
And really, really cool. Yeah, it was a bit of a like, I don't know, kind of, I didn't want to let it get to my head too much, but it was pretty cool.
So one thing I did notice about the show that I went to in Cincinnati, obviously the stage setup is always amazing with King and Merciful Fate, and the theatrical aspect of it is great. So I wanted to say that I really thought a lot of the art direction, I don't know if it was necessarily a conscious effort, and maybe you could say a yes or no to it, is all of the players like you and Hank, you all played white guitars on stage, and we're all dressed mostly in black. I know there's a few other shows where you had some of you had the one show where you had the shirt designed by Christina from Creeping Death Designs, which I'm friends with.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So was that like a conscious effort of like we're all going to look similar on stage?
Yeah, partly. Yeah. So when I was first asked to play this tour, King gave me a phone call and we spoke for a while about everything. And he said about like the clothes. And I mean, I'd already been watching some of their live shows, and I was like, okay, I want to dress like I would fit into this kind of setting. And he did say like, I've noticed you tend to like wear like shorts or like skirts and stuff when you play live, and that's not really our thing. Like, it would prefer if you wear like trousers or something. But you could get like some really cool ones with like customized with like studs and like shiny things and cool stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna do that. So I knew I had to wear all black, and I think, I don't know, I guess it's quite a natural thing to do. It just always looks cool. It's just a classic look. So and then I wanted to make, and he said no band t-shirts, so no logos, and that's just more of a it just makes things easier for like copyright and stuff like this. like I love wearing band t-shirts, but yeah, I do understand it. It's better, it's easier to make things plain if you've got like logos going on. It's a bit of a mess. So
for sure.
but yeah, there was that. But I think the white guitar thing, I think it's all accidental. But we were talking about it, like some of the guys have different guitars, and I also had a black Rickenbacker as well that I brought with me, and that came out on some of the shows.
Okay.
So yeah, like the guitar thing was kind of accidental, but I think when we realized we all had a white guitar, and when we all like stood together in a line to do like certain cool lead parts and pretended we were Judas Priest, but when we realized that we all had white guitars, like we're like, okay, no, let's do this. Let's stick with these guitars as much as possible, and we'll only swap them if we break a string or something. We really need to do it.
Definitely.
So yeah, it was somewhat a conscious effort, but you know, it's just kind of a natural thing, really. Like when you start like. Because yeah, me and Hank came out and we were like, oh, our trousers are kind of similar. Actually, they kind of got the kind of eyelets on the side and things. So yeah,
hell yeah,
we're just cool guys. We're just cool. Can't help it.
It all played out. So right, so I have one more question, but before we ask it, do you have any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
No, I'm fine. I can't think of any right now.
Awesome. Awesome. As always, links are listed below, so please give a like, a share, and a follow. Support in any and every way you can, whether it's on Bandcamp, iTunes, Spotify. Go buy merch, go stream songs, go buy albums. Support in any way you all can out there. Thank you. Final question of the day is, if you decide to be cremated, where would you want to have your ashes spread?
Oh, okay, that's cool. Okay. Let's just say on the Black Sabbath Bridge in Birmingham.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be cool because I don't know. Yeah, but I've only lived in Birmingham for 2 years, but it feels like it feels like a spiritual home for me. It feels like this is where I'm going to stay. It's the center of the universe, really. It's great. And even though I haven't been to the Black Sabbath Bridge yet, I will before I get cremated, I hope. And if I haven't, then that'll be my final visit, my one and only visit, and that works for me as well.
That's awesome. I'm a huge Sabbath fan, and going and being a part of Birmingham, that's one of the places I'd love to visit when I come over, because I've never been to Europe or the UK or anything, and I'm planning on going next year in 2024. So I've got a lot of friend bands out there, and I just want to see a lot of them, and sightseeing as much as possible. I'd love to go to Birmingham. I'd love to go to Stoke-on-Trent, where Lemmy was from, because I'm a huge Motorhead fan and everything. And so,
cool.
Hell yeah. Becky, thank you so much for coming on the Metal Forge this week. This has been awesome. I appreciate you, and, keep kicking ass out there, because it's what you do, it seems like.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fantastic. Great to chat with you.
For sure. So, from the Born to Sin album from Fury, what song do you want me to play out today?
Okay, let's have If You Get to Hell First.
All right, the opening track of the album, here we go. This is from Fury, If You Get to Hell First.
But So save your spot by the fire. By the fire. By the fire.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Set back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code METALFORGE10 to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby. Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soulgrinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.